Hello students, welcome back to another learning video. In today's video lecture, I am going to discuss complete book list as prescribed by UPSC for optional English literature aspirants. If we look at our paper, it is divided into two parts, or let's call it paper 1 and paper 2, section A and section B respectively in each part. We then have 40 novels, 5 plays and 60 pieces of poetry. Also, each part carries 250 marks in total. Now, if we study our two papers carefully, we realize that our paper 1 has got elements related to Renaissance, Elizabethan period, Romantic period, Victorian period, whereas our paper 2 has got elements related to contemporary English, modern English, Indian writing in English, and post-colonial literature. Alright, now without wasting any time, we'll look at it very quickly. We'll look at our complete book list from paper 1 first of all. We'll look at section A. Now in section A, your first dramatist is William Shakespeare and his two works called King Lear and The Tempest. Now our next prescribed poet is John Donne, our very own, very beautiful metaphysical poet. We have 5 poems prescribed here. We have Canonization, then we have Death Be Not Proud, then we have The Good Morrow. We also have Honest Mistress Going to Bed and The Relic. Then we have our third poet called John Milton and his most popular work called Paradise Lost, for which he is widely known in the world of English literature. Otherwise, there are 12 parts to this book, but we have only 4 parts prescribed in our syllabus. We have part 1, 2, 4 and 9. This poem is also considered to be the greatest epic poem in the world of English literature. Next up we have Alexander Pope, who was greatly influenced by Greek and Latin classical writers. We have his work called The Rape of the Lock. Now next up we have William Wordsworth, the most romantic poet of all times, who along with Samuel Taylor Coleridge literally launched the Romantic Age. Now we have 9 poems by William Wordsworth here. We have 1 Ode on Intimations of Immortality, 2 we have Tintern Abbey, then we have 3 Years She Grew, 4 we have She Dwelt Among Untrodden Ways, 5 we have Michael, 6 we have Resolution and Independence, 7 we have The World Is Too Much With Us, 8 we have Milton, Thou Shouldest Be Living at This Hour, and 9 we have Upon Westminster Bridge. Our next prescribed poet is Alfred Tennyson, who is considered to be the true representative of Victorian age. His poems grew out of a lot of personal grief and inner trauma. In our syllabus we have In Memoriam, which is an elegy for his friend Arthur Henry Hallam. Our last dramatist from section A is Henrik Ibsen and his work called A Doll's House, which is basically a 3-act play, and it very prominently discusses the issues of late 19th century upper class society. Now we move on to section B from paper 1. First of all we have Jonathan Swift, an Anglo-Irish writer, and his work called Gulliver's Travels, a book divided into 4 parts. A very strong satire on English colonialism. Now our second favorite writer, Jane Austen, known for her universal comic wit and a work called Pride and Prejudice, story of 5 sisters, a book that gave us our most favorite heroine in the world of English literature, Elizabeth Bennet. Our third writer is Henry Fielding, who is popularly known for his satires. We have his work called Tom Jones here, a story that follows the adventures of the charming, humorous and roguish character Tom Jones. Our next writer is Charles Dickens and his very beautiful work called Hard Times, that discusses the issues and challenges of Victorian England through characters like Sissy, Louisa, Tom, Barnaby, Harthouse and Gradgrind. A very strong emotional book that resonates with readers inch by inch. Our next writer is George Eliot, pen name of Mary Ann Evans. Her work called Mill on the Floss, a beautifully written novel that follows the journey of a strong-willed protagonist, Maggie Tulliver, a novel that talks about family, love, relationships and society. strong work called Tess of the Abbeville's, which narrates the story of quote-unquote a pure working class woman called Tess, who becomes a victim of the rigid Victorian society. And now moving on to our last book from paper 1, which is your great American novel called The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, that narrates the adventures of this character called Tom as he sails down the mighty Mississippi River. Alright, so this was all from paper 1. In our next video, we'll discuss paper 2's complete book list. Also, to join our UPSC optional English literature classes, you may call or WhatsApp us at 88650-28865 or log on to finlandacademy.com for any information related to our courses.